Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Toolkit Tuesday, what we call bite-sized learning for busy educators. Brought to you by DriveOhio as part of our DriveOhio Educator Toolkit initiative. Today we're talking about K-12 educators in action, and we've got two awesome guests here, Jessica Fields and Stacy Callahan, who we will introduce very shortly. This is a recorded webinar that can be used for professional development purposes. And any questions, you can reach out to us directly or use features shown here today. These recording and slides will all be shared through our website and through our YouTube channel. And as I said, this is all in support of the DriveOhio K-12 Educator Toolkit, a free online collection of resources summarized here, curriculum, resources, career connections, and professional development resources like this webinar. You can check it all out at that QR code anytime you'd like. So with that, we're going to let our panelists introduce themselves and we'll get started with today's discussion. So Jessica, I'm going to start with you. And can you tell us, as you introduce yourself, what does a typical day look like at Grandview Heights Schools?
Well, thanks, Rich, for having me. And I wish I could say my days are typical, but to describe a typical day, it's atypical. So at the heart, I am a 21st century instructional coach, grades K through 12 for all subject areas. So it just requires me to be kind of flexible in what I do day to day. At the heart of it, we do focus on curriculum, instruction, and assessment. But I like to tell people my catchphrase is I help teachers put wheels on their ideas and knock barriers out of the way. And so what that really means in the 21st century is, like, even today, I had a meeting to talk about how our students are performing with a certain math standard and how we could focus in on that as a grade level. And then I flipped and I was doing 3D printing with the 5th grade class. And then I switched to a 3rd grade passions project. I went to a report card meeting to develop report card statements. And then most recently, what I just came from is we've been focusing on the industry recognized credentialing. So at the high school level, connecting to what the students will be doing once they leave the hallways of Grandview Heights Schools. And if you're not familiar with Grandview Heights, it is a small school district in Central Ohio, and it has roughly 1,100 students enrollment.
Fantastic. Well, I didn't expect every day to be typical, and I love the way you illustrated just how today you covered all the bases. That's great. Awesome. Stacy, could you do the same? Introduce yourself and let us know, what does a typical day look like at Avalon Elementary?
Sure. Rich, thank you so much for the invitation to share some of what we're doing at Avalon Elementary School. My name is Stacy Callahan, and I currently serve as the school counselor of Avalon. We are a K through 3 in Columbus City Schools, which is the largest school district in Ohio. And I have a very diverse population at my school, students from over 30 different countries and 15 different languages. So my role as a school counselor is similar to Jessica. However, I delve into social emotional learning, do classroom lessons, lead small groups, do individual counseling, referral. And then my passion truly is making sure that our students have exposure to progressive technologies and opportunities for careers in the future. And so that passion has been ongoing over my 17-year career, and I'm happy to be working with students in Central Ohio and specifically at Avalon to help them in their future endeavors.
Super. Thank you. Well, we've visited many times, and that's part of what we'll talk about here today is all the great examples of what you just talked about. So, Stacy, we'll stick with you first here. So could you maybe talk with us a little more about how you've used resources from DriveOhio at Avalon Elementary?
Yes, so it's been an awesome adventure for us to expose our students to things that will open up their mind to technology. So one of those things was, you see in the picture there, our students were able to create vertiports. So they created like a mini city, and they got to use things that were relevant to them, from department stores you might know to things that as practical as hospitals, schools, parks. And there was a collaborative effort with all of our teachers, but they utilized the lesson plan that was provided by DriveOhio. And so it was a great opportunity for students to use collaboration skills, use their imagination, include parents and staff members, and just really expanding their horizon. So they got to use drones and see how the drones landed on those teleports. Another thing that happened, there it is, Vertiport Challenge. Another thing that we did early on through DriveOhio was an introduction to Ozobots. And when I tell you, my students' eyes just lit up. They really didn't know that something like that existed. And so they got to see how coding worked hands-on, and seeing that coding was attainable for them, and how that can change their life and change the life of others. So that was a really big thing. So we did that a couple of years, utilizing that from K through third, and really showing not just our staff, but families in the community that students as young as kindergarten can code, right? It just matters how you present it to them and engage them, and then allowing them to utilize that technology.
Absolutely. And it as we can see here, we've done a few of these visits at your school, and it was really fun to see how the students, especially the older students, started to recognize it and recognize the activity, and then start to extend it a little more. I mean, that's been really fun to watch.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of the different teachers get involved too. I think maybe we'll take a quick minute here and check out this video that was, I think, produced by one of your teachers. Is that right?
It was. He is a writer and also does audio video technology. So we're able to engage teachers in technology usage as well to highlight some of the things we're doing.
Awesome. Let's check this out for just a quick minute.
Everyone say hi, Autobot. Hi, Autobot. So, has anyone ever coded before? Yeah, a couple of you.
Well, we're here from DriveOhio, part of the Ohio Department of Transportation. We are the state center for smart mobility, things like electric vehicles, drones, self-driving vehicles. And so we are all about reaching out to students to get them thinking about job opportunities in this field. So we bring robots, we bring drones sometimes. We were here for Drone Day recently. Today was Ozobot Day, and so we've done all sorts of coding activities to get students thinking about what tiny electric vehicles might look like in their neighborhood, because it's not imaginary. You go to the Ohio State campus, there's already delivery robots scooting around. So this is a chance for students to try this out themselves, practice being a coder, learn what it's like to understand how a vehicle charges itself, what it eats when it's hungry, and all sorts of fun questions like that. And we're always adding more pieces to this puzzle. So today was a smart mobility adventure for the little Ozobot, following a path to get to its charging station. In the future, we might bring some other activities with cardboard parts and loose materials and things like that to build your own city. So we're always expanding and tinkering with these things, and we love seeing what all the students come up with.
So it was so excited, and I was nervous. And I had really fun when they came first. That was so fun when the Autobot, that was when we draw the lines. That was so fun because the Autobot can go to the lines, and that was so fun.
So the Autobots were pretty much fun. I got to code and make my bot do some cool tricks like spin around, turn, do the moonwalk, and it was fun. I want to say about the Autobots, they are magnificent. I never even knew that Autobots exist, but once I tried it out, my mind blew.
That's one of my favorites. That's so cool. So, like you said, we've done some drone activities. I love how you brought in some community members also, right? We've had pilots, but you also had a lot of different folks come in from the community. Is that right?
Yes, we were able to have the sheriff's department come and say how they use the technology in their job, the fire department. So they talk to students about how drones can go places that humans can't, that are unsafe for human beings, intense temperature, really tight spaces. So students got to hear firsthand how it is relevant in future careers and really explore those possibilities of what's possible. That's been the strength of our STEM program at Avalon, not only partnering with DriveOhio, but really collaborating with those around our community so that our students can engage and expand the possibilities.
It's
And you
outstanding.
can see the Vertiport challenge, which is awesome. Like I was speaking of some of those familiar like businesses, and our students were so engaged and just thrilled to see that the vertiports were plausible, like it was something that the drones could land on. And so they were really, really thrilled about that opportunity.
Yeah, the level of detail, I mean, even from this picture here, you can see some of those logos are really sharp. They really put a lot of time into it. They spent, was it at least a week on this, right? Maybe even more than that?
Yes, they spent 2 weeks. So each class got to vote. We have 17 classrooms, so they got to vote what kind of vertiport they wanted to make, why it was important, why it needed to be represented, and then they got to spend classroom time designing it. The structure, we had an engineer also come in a previous presentation, some of those pictures were included. So he talked about structural soundness, things to think about, but it was very collaborative. It got them to exercise their student voice and decide what was important and then work together, team building, communication skills, and then have that final project and to see it all come together was really thrilling for our students.
That's amazing. And I'm just curious, were there certain learning standards that you lined this up with? I mean, clearly STEM and science related, but anything specific that comes to mind from that angle on this project?
Yes. So we have, I work with 2 additional STEM leaders at our school who were trained through some of the things through Ohio Department of Education and Job Workforce. So they worked with our teachers to align them with science standards and also with English standards.
That's great. Yeah, we've even seen some others use like social studies standards of how transportation affects their community. So we love to find those examples from teachers of ways, clever ways that we can learn from of how to line this up across the whole curriculum and not strictly a STEM thing. So that's STEM is everywhere, right? That's what we like to see.
Right, to show our students it's integrative. Everywhere you look, somebody is impacted by an idea, being inventive, and it's all connected.
For sure. We've got one more video I can play a little bit here, and I think that'll show some of the more recent things that you were just talking about.
Okay.
So there's Helen, one of our ODOT drone pilots who did some demos and answered a lot of questions. That's one of our Skydio drones there that she brought with her that day. And there's a nice close-up of the city. It was quite something. And we always learn a little bit, you know, some were easier to land on than others, but that's just always something good to talk with the students about, regardless of how it comes together. There you go. And we all got together on Tech Day, right? This was a chance to spotlight the partnership with the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio. Anything you wanted to add on that collaboration, Stacy?
Yes, this is a wonderful collaboration. Avalon was one of the first schools in Ohio to be awarded a STEM grant. And so that gave us an opportunity to purchase Ozobots and drones that our students can utilize. Teachers, again, we talked about integrative approaches to learning, so they can check these out, have weekly lessons based on grade level, sign it out. We also have a STEM club that utilizes those. So this was a really great opportunity on Ohio Tech Day just to share about the things that we're doing.
That's awesome. And any upcoming plans for the STEM club that you'd like to share? Are you still kind of thinking ahead for next year right now?
Yes, we're still thinking ahead for next year, but I know that we have some teachers that are working with it closely as well. So we'll be putting our heads together and see if we can do something kind of cumulative before the end of the year.
Outstanding. Well, towards the end of this chat today, I'll share some upcoming resources from DriveOhio, and maybe that'll give you some extra things for brainstorming. So that'll be fun.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. And I think I'm going to give Jessica a turn to answer a similar question. So, Jessica, how have you used some of the resources from DriveOhio at Grandview Heights Schools?
Yeah, so as I'm thinking about this question, it's kind of amazing how much we have used DriveOhio in the past. I've only been in the district for 6 years now. So we like to highlight some of the most successful, but we're seeing it across the board. So we have what's called Science Day, which is probably similar to STEAM Day that you guys have at Avalon, but each year it's a different theme. And what has been fascinating is even though we have changed themes, drones have always been relevant. So DriveOhio has always been willing to help and bring in people from the field. And we did kind of a mini vertiport challenge. We couldn't spend as much time with it because of how it was set up for that day. Even I'm thinking about next year, we're going to be doing medical and health related day. And I'm thinking already, who can I bring to show how air mobility is playing a part in the health field world? One thing I do know is we always ask kids, like kind of a survey, like what brought you the most joy? And without a doubt, they're always listing things from either Science Day or in our STEM Media Center, or some of the work that they've done with Rich and DriveOhio.
That's great to hear. I love it. And yeah, when you're talking health and medicine, think Zipline for next year, because they're teaming up with Ohio Health for drone delivery in the Columbus area and the Cleveland area. So that could be a good
And I
one.
think that's one of the most awesome things about where we're located is we have such a connection to industry that is really up and coming in a lot of these areas. So it's like in our backyard, basically. And, it doesn't just stop there. We have found that somehow, Rich, I'm not sure how you made the connection to our kids club, but they were like, we have these students every day. They need this type of thinking and working. And so we did the same type of vertiport activity with kids club, and that just snowballed. So then working with the coordinator of our kids club, which is also during the school year after school, we brought in Lego robotics. We're bringing the Ozobots in. So we're sort of starting to use some of those past STEM kits. So it just has kind of jump-started what we can do differently with that time that we have with students. And what has made it easy, Rich, if you go to the next slide, is we were able to get a DriveOhio STEM equipment grant. And this is one of the things that as an educator, you always want cutting edge equipment, but it usually comes at a cost, right? And we're always trying to be fiscally responsible with money. And you don't always know if it's a good move. So you always have to kind of test it out before. So I've partnered with the PAST Foundation to test a lot of the equipment out, received grant money. And this was really nice because the Ozobots, similar, Stacy, to what you were saying, the Ozobots, they're flexible in the grade level. So like in the DriveOhio curriculum, it says something like, what is Simon Says? And I was like, I never thought to explain it that way. So that's what I can use with kindergarten and do like Simon Says with the Ozobots. And then it leads up to, they start to code it. Also the RVR rovers and the Ozobots, they start to code it around 2nd and 3rd grade. And then in the middle school, we're trying to get the drone club up and running with the drones that we received. So, Rich, that has been so valuable to our school district, and we're so thankful that we were able to get that grant.
Yeah, we definitely have a big thanks to the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio for pulling those funds together. I know we're kind of in between on that program right now, I know we're always looking for new grant opportunities, and for any 21st century programs out there, we've seen that as a real effective funding mechanism for equipment, whether it's after school, summer, or both. So yeah, we're always looking for more suggestions too on ways to pull that together. But I think you've alluded to it a little bit. Our friends at the Past Foundation have a lot of that answered if you can just borrow the equipment, right?
Yeah, and I kind of tell them when give my feedback to the Past Foundation, I was like, this is almost like the bat signal. Like when the kids see the black and yellow tubs coming out, they get really, really excited. So the RVR rovers, they liked them so much, and we used the curriculum. We used it also for our second grade. Their social studies standard is how technology has impacted transportation, and they developed a vehicle of the future. But the RVRs that we like so much, we went and purchased our own. So we used the past and we're like, this is awesome. So then we went and we figured out funding for how our district could support it. With the VR sets there, we use those with our career day as well as with our science day for STEAM nights. And then those make do's right there in the center. A lot of the curriculum from DriveOhio, you can do most of it with cardboard, and that makes it accessible to everybody. So these make do's that are pretty inexpensive, it's definitely a tool that helps make the things that the kids are creating in their brain come to life.
Yeah, no, appreciate all that. And for those that might not be totally familiar with these portable innovation labs, you can check out the equipment, not just limited to what you see here. They've got a whole website you can choose from, get it for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Pretty much anywhere in Ohio, you just have to make it to one of the pickup points. There's Columbus, Dayton, Akron, Sandusky are the locations right now, and they're looking to add more soon. And they're looking to add more portable labs as well. So definitely a great program. And we can, if you go to our toolkit website, you can find your way over to see all those details. And there, yeah, in fact, there's a little bit more on where you can find more.
So if you go to the next slide, this is the tricky one, right? My title is 21st century, but we are 25 years into the 21st century. So people always ask, what does that mean? And in my job, it's not just keeping the teachers grounded in best practices, but you also have to look at the trends of the future. And it is really hard, especially when you're K-12, all subject areas, to stay up to date with the changes in the industry, in the economy, and like what is going to make our students the most successful. So I have really appreciated not only the DriveOhio curriculum, but just the DriveOhio website to keep me informed with changes that will affect my kids when they become adults. And then most recently, we had the kindergarten STEAM night, and Rich and DriveOhio came to help assist because I needed an extra set of hands because it's so popular that we not only stopped with kindergarten, we're doing one per grade up to third grade. And it's really nice. They do all of these different activities through the course of their media center, and we run them in a 6-station rotation. And this allows for parents to come in and to really see what the kid is talking about, because for a lot of these parents, this is not something that their education looked like. So we try to invite the parents out to make that partnership and make it clear, what our students are doing in the classroom. And then last but not least, it not only stopped in the elementary level, we then transitioned to career exploration in our middle school. And we had the kids get signed up for what they're most interested in. There's a bunch of guest speakers. And guess what was the most signed up session? Drones and DriveOhio. So, it not only engages them, it is relevant to their future. Even if they were to never get into drone certification, the problem solving and the collaboration piece that goes into it, they're really these soft skills that are applicable across any field that they would go into.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I know our friends at Unmanned Safety Institute, USI, that do a lot of credentialing around drones. They'll say the drone is like the tip of an iceberg that gets you into this whole world of technology, whether it's, just in today's conversation, we were talking about medical deliveries. You could talk about grocery deliveries. You could talk about larger aircraft. You can get into manufacturing, maintenance, design, media. Kids all say they want to be YouTube influencers. Well, fly a drone and capture your footage, right? So there's all sorts of ways to hook them in, I guess. Well, thanks for sharing all that. I appreciate it. And as we start to wrap up today's conversation, I'll ask each of you, what advice would you offer to K-12 educators? Kind of a purposely open-ended question, but with the themes we've been talking about here, any advice you'd like to share? And Stacy, maybe we'll start with you.
Advice that I would offer to them is to really don't be afraid of the new technology. As was already mentioned, things look differently than most of our educators when they were matriculating through K through 12 or even college. But also utilizing the DriveOhio resources is a really easy way to get started on it. And then, as we do at our school, communicate with the parents as to what you're sharing and invite them in to let them see how it's relevant for today and then also for future careers. So I would say it's not as scary or inaccessible as some teachers would think, but DriveOhio and also the PASS Foundation has made it easier to kind of take that first step.
That's great advice. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Jessica, same question. Any advice you'd like to share?
I would just say embrace the messy, like good active learning. It gets messy in a good way. And don't feel, I think Stacy said it's inaccessible, but like it's not inaccessible. Like discover with your students. I never know it all, and there's something that is invigorating about not knowing where you're going and learning with your students. And then I guess I would just say try your best, no matter what grade level, stay connected with the workforce. So like, how do you create this workforce ecosystem in your classroom? And when you start to do that, you start to see these really real world connections and design thinking challenges for your students that they will engage with. And it's really powerful.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, anytime we give our students the opportunity to innovate, they always rise to the occasion. I mean, we've seen that many times, and that's all great advice. So I promised a little preview of what's coming soon for our DriveOhio Educator Toolkit. And so looking ahead to the 2025 to 26 school year, to get my numbers right, we're building content around batteries and electric vehicles right now. So we have a team shown here that's currently documenting the work that the Formula Buckeyes team, the student racing team at Ohio State, the other national champions from last year, they're currently converting their vehicle into all electric. And so we felt that was a great learning opportunity to share all around the state. And so we've got a documentary film crew capturing insights from these students. And it's not just engineering students, it's business, it's science, it's other topics. It's really anyone who's interested in motorsports. So we're going to have some curriculum to pair up with this that might kind of start off in the high school 9 through 12 space, but we're going to translate that back to younger students as well. So it's all about battery manufacturing and electric vehicle design and assembly, and all through the lens of racing. So we're excited to have that available soon. By the summer timeframe, we expect to have that published into our toolkit for support in the fall. And we've mentioned them a little bit already, but our friends at the PASS Foundation, we're cooking up another set of portable innovation labs around this battery topic. You can see here a build your own battery that will show how the different components work together. We'll have some curriculum to go with that, and then tie it to real world examples like that Honda battery shown there. But you've got lots of other employers around the state talking about batteries right now, Ford, Altium, all across all corners of Ohio. This is a big conversation that we're excited to be part of. So all these resources we're talking about, you can tune into our different Toolkit Tuesday webinars to learn more about them. We've got a few more coming up soon, so watch for details on that. And as we said earlier, you can get all this information through that DriveOhio Educator Toolkit website that is freely available. So I want to thank you both for joining today for such a great conversation. And any closing thoughts that we've missed that you'd like to share as we wrap it up here?
Rich, I just want to thank you. I think you have a great organization that does a lot for the schools. And I would just say, please make sure that you visit their website, if anything, to look at the curriculum.
Again, thank you for the invitation. And then once you're at the website, subscribe to the emails, and that will keep you in the loop as well. I always like to see what's coming next so I can stay abreast and share with teachers and other colleagues across the district. So thank you again, Rich.
Thank you both, and we'll see everybody on our next episode. Thanks again.